Hédouville installed himself in Cap François Francaise on April 20th, 1798. Toussaint Louverture, wary of the newcomer, was not there to meet him. In a series of letters to Toussaint Louverture, he excused himself by citing his campaigns against the English invaders on the west coast and the distance over difficult terrain. In view of his notoriously rapid movement all over the colony, the latter explanation was not very convincing. In fact, Toussaint was busy conducting his own negotiations for a British withdrawal with General Thomas Maitland, M-A-I-T, Land, who had arrived to take over the British operations in Saint-Domingue just 3 weeks before Hédouville's landing. The adventure in Saint-Domingue had not turned out as the British had hoped. They had not been able to make the area of the colony they occupied anywhere near as profitable as it had formerly been for France. They earned something better than 500, was that pounds or lira? It's that weird L with a little line through it. 500,000 of those L's. 500 L's. 500, 500,000 L's. 500,000 lined L's from exports during the occupation, which on the other hand cost them more than 7 million L's. 7 of those lined L's. Francs, pounds, dollars, a lot of money, whatever it is, as well as about 20,000 casualties. At Maitland's arrival, the British had only 2,500 European soldiers under arms, plus a few thousand black and colored troops of doubtful reliability, while Toussaint Louverture was reputed to have 20,000 men to bring against him, having driven the British from Mirebalais, M-I-R-E-B-A-L-A-I-S, Mirebalais, Bialais, in the interior. Toussaint Louverture was now able to put pressure on the cordon of forts, which protected Arcahaie, A-R-C-A-H-A-I-E, in March 1798. Toussaint Louverture, he broke through it. Though the formidable La Pointe was still holding out for the British in Arcahaie itself, Toussaint Louverture's advance allowed him to seriously threaten the British positions to the north at St. Mark and to the south at Port-au-Prince. The British situation in the western department looked less and less tenable. Maitland had studied the rivalry between Rigaud and Toussaint and concluded that the two generals were unlikely ever to cooperate. He believed that La Plume, who since the overthrow of Doudané had commanded a large force for the French Republic just to the south of British-held Port-au-Prince, was a quasi-independent third factor. For La Plume's loyalty to Toussaint was never certain. The British general knew that possession of Port-au-Prince would greatly empower whichever leader it was yielded to. If Toussaint Louverture got the prize, the British would still have both La Plume and Rigaud in a buffer zone between Port-au-Prince and the British post at the port of Jérémie, toward the western tip of the Grande Anse. Furthermore, by dealing with Toussaint Louverture, Maitland might drive a wedge between him and Hédouville, whose arrival made an easy exit for the British less likely. On April 23rd, there's just a lot of British and English. I know there is French. I know there is Spanish. But what's up with the damn Brits? What are they doing in Haiti? On April 23rd, Maitland offered to withdraw all British forces from the west of Saint-Domingue on condition that the French colonists who had collaborated with the British be granted amnesty. Over the next few days, Toussaint Louverture negotiated that the forts and their cannon would be turned over to him intact, a major and rather surprising concession. The accord was signed on April 30th, and not until the following day did Toussaint Louverture write to Hédouville at Le Cap to notify him of the fait accompli. Teeth presumably clenched, Hédouville approved his action, noting marginally that French law and the French Constitution permitted no one to come to terms with proscribed émigrés. But Hédouville could not influence events in the Western Department from where he sat, and troops commanded by Christophe Mornay, and Toussaint's brother Paul were already advancing toward Port-au-Prince across the cul-de-sac plain. A great many Frenchmen chose to depart on British ships. Those who remained were understandably apprehensive. La Plume was also present in force outside Port-au-Prince, and when he struck a peace agreement with the mulattoes of Croix des Bouquets, Bernard Bourgella, the Grand Blanc mayor, sent a delegation to thank him. Then Christophe Mornay arrived in Port-au-Prince to assure Bourgella that the transition would be orderly. A Frenchman in the town described Mornay's men, his tattered troops covered in a few rags molded to their trunks, true sans culottes, starving and in want of everything, without pants. There's a lot of sans culottes at Valley Forge. Naturally, should have breathed nothing but pillage. So far from anything like that, not only did they not commit the lightest insult, but we even saw them, upon entering a city evacuated by the enemy, go without rations for 2 days without a murmur. Where are the European soldiers who, in such a case, could maintain so exact a discipline? When Toussaint Louverture entered Port-au-Prince, soon afterwards, the amnestied French colonists came out to receive him with tremendous fanfare, doubtless born of the relief at the extraordinary self-control of the black troops already occupying the town. Toussaint appeared with extreme modesty, wearing a plain field uniform without epaulettes, his customary head cloth tied beneath his tri-corner hat. He declined the most extravagant gestures of the welcoming whites, declaring only God should walk beneath the dais. Only to the sole master of the universe should one offer incense. He had, however, promised to respect their property, and he backed up the promise by sending the stray cultivators of the region back to work on the plantations. On May 26, he announced to all citizens of Port-au-Prince, the times of fanaticism are no more. The rule of law has succeeded that of anarchy. When the British fleet sailed on May 28th, Toussaint Louverture arranged a Te Deum in the Port-au-Prince Cathedral to celebrate. Is that some Catholicism? Te Deum? What the hell is a Te Deum?